Blog Talk Radio.
The motherfucking saga continues.
Yo, what's up, world? It's badass thuggin' like I usually do, and you better turn it up, bust some speakers out, cause we off the motherfucking cuff. You dig how we do it? Dog Pound Gangsters 2000 and beyond. Blech.
What's up with it, y'all? Man, don't change that down. This your play apartment, the legendary cocaine. And you tuned in live to Off the Cuff Radio. Better not touch that down. Well.
Yeah, this is Cassidy, the hustler. And right now, you listening to the Guillotine. Show them the respect they deserve, man. Off the Cut Radio, man. Y'all already know how they doing it, man. I need y'all to stay tuned. They've been doing it for years, so show them the respect they deserve. And you heard it out of bars, mouth. Easy.
Keep it moving like this. Yo, this your boy Rampage. You're not rocking with the best. With Off the Cuff Radio. Classic. History. Fix your face to all you haters. We off the cuff, baby.
What's up, everybody? This your girl, Bonnie Dollars, the Queen of Trap, representing Crenshaw, and you are now tuned in with Off the Cuff Radio. What's up? What's up, y'all? This is Miss Irresistible, giving a shout out to the livest show on Friday nights, Off the Cuff Radio, and I'm live from the 704.
All right, what's the deal? This your man King Eric, the Media Assassin. We're now tuned in to episode 668. Got my host T-Max with the facts. What's good, man?
What's going on, y'all? It's another main event of a magnificent Monday night, of course, on that outstanding frequency, OTC, Off the Cuff Radio. Shout out to our co-host in spirit, Elada Sandman, and Lady Chinchilla, of course, DJ Sincere, Dirty Basement, New York. And we have a very, very, very special guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This man has made his mark as a producer, entrepreneur, and all-around savant of the culture in terms of immersing himself in and making himself an indelible imprint in all things hip-hop music in reference to his curating and creating so many classics and working with some of your famous artists out there. His resume is long, distinguished, and unbelievable in terms of his achievements and accomplishments. There's a lot to be said about him, and there's a lot of people have said about him. And we want to have him on the show. We're so honored to have him on tonight for him to set the record straight on everything that's been going on, as well as talk about his history in full detail as he drops bombs with a full artillery of academia and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the almighty M80. Welcome.
Thank you. And that was an incredible intro. I appreciate it immensely.
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, we had a long journey going, man. We was probably supposed to get this thing going last week, but we're here now, man. How you doing out there?
I'm doing great, man. You guys caught me on my one day back in Los Angeles.
Man,
That's
it's great to have
right
you with
there,
us.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm off to Australia tomorrow for a few, and then Nashville for a few, and back to Vegas. And, the work doesn't stop. The grind don't cease.
No, it doesn't. What part of Australia? Brisbane, Queensland, Sydney?
It's funny. I usually work in Queensland, in Brisbane, with DZ, but my work this trip is strictly in Sydney.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, your resume is incredible, 80, in terms of everything you've accomplished from your beginnings in Indiana and Ohio, respectively. Of course, and a lot of people don't know, but we have to say this as well, doing research, you're also a graduate of law school as well.
Correct.
So
my parents growing up, from a Jewish household, you're expected to be a doctor, a lawyer, like a CPA, something of like high prestige, and I was always awesome in school. Like Like I
Right.
got magna cum laude in high school, magna cum laude in college, cum laude in law school. But that was never like the drawback. Like I had no qualms of going to law school, but I didn't want to go to necessarily become an attorney. So I never took the
Mhm.
bar exam. I wanted to go to master the business side of music that so many artists overlook and ultimately have regret. And I've seen tens of thousands of artist videos on social media and YouTube about, getting fucked over on royalties and masters and publishing and so on and so forth. And needless to say, getting over on me is fucking damn near mission impossible. So,
One thing
Yeah.
about it that's been a
Yeah, we
and
hallmark.
definitely
so,
gonna,
Yeah.
putting
that's
6
why
figures into
we
my education, that came back with the quickness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to bring you on here, man, because it's to not only give you clarity on what you do, because you handle a lot behind the scenes as an A&R, an engineer, and a producer as well. You wear a lot of hats.
Well, no engineering. That's the one thing that I never wanted to touch, because there are people who specifically go to school to become masters of that craft, and I didn't want to half-ass it. So like when I was just M80 the rapper and I discovered how to make beats, I would spend so much time making beats. When I finished a beat I liked, I'd spend like 15 minutes writing the rhymes, but I spent like 10 hours making the beat. So I'm like, okay, I got to put one of these to the side. So then it was just focused on being a rapper, but I always knew as a rapper that one day I'd segue into being on the business side, and that's because I read so many articles of artists complaining about essentially not knowing where their next meal was going to come from, regardless of how many records they'd sell. But you never heard that complaint from those on the business side of music. For whatever the reasons may be, I never wanted to sell my life potential short and have to worry about my next meal or how to provide myself or family.
And definitely in terms of it, 80. And I think that's why with so many people, obviously, your reputation speaks for itself in terms of being direct, always blunt, and most importantly, concise. And that can cause controversy because people are not necessarily comfortable with the way you're going to present it. This is what it is. We're going to
I
get to
definitely
that.
rub a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that later on.
Yeah.
But we want to do this like the genesis of Nas's Illmatic. Let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
Where did you find hip hop in terms of how you knew you wanted to be involved in the culture and how you grew and evolved into the man you are today, being, such a fixture in it?
So that question is asked and answered because I have one sibling. I have an older brother named Steve. So
Yes,
growing up,
sir.
I took all my musical cues from my brother Steve. When
Mhm.
me and Steve are almost 8 years apart. So when Steve is in college at University of Toledo and I'm in like middle school, that's when Steve would
Go
pick me up.
Rockets.
Yes, go Rockets. That's right. Yes, sir. So Steve, I remember me and my brother buying CDs, when they had the long security things on them, like you'd hold them
Yes, sir.
and walk around the stores. So
Yeah.
like some of the albums we bought were like The Chronic, Crisscross, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Creeping on a Come Up, Tribe Called Quest, Snoop Dogg Doggy Style, Cypress Hill, and then like the opposite end of the spectrum, we're getting Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, Blind
The grunge,
Melon.
Seattle grunge
Yeah.
movement. Yes.
So those are my two niches. Like when I'm not working in rap, you can constantly see me at rock concerts. Like I was just at Marilyn Manson this weekend. Before that, Nine Inch Nails. Before that, geez, what else? A million, Tool, Perfect Circle, Queens of the Stone Age. Like I'm there. Like that's my shit. But rap just like grew on me. And like in middle school and when I started high school, all the quote unquote cool kids or popular kids, the kids that were getting the chicks were in rock bands and playing like guitar and bass. And so I tried my hand at guitar. It wasn't for me. I then started playing bass and I loved playing bass and even like kept that going until my late 20s. I played in a punk rock band called the Drug Sluts, and sometimes we do M80 rap shows with the Drug Sluts, and the fucking mixture of the rap crowd with the punk rock crowd was the coolest shit ever. But then also, while I started playing bass, I started freestyling, and for 3 years straight, I never wrote a single song. It was all just random freestyles in school. When I was in high school, I'd battle every rapper in the Commons, and then I'd go to parties, and they'd bring like other rappers from other schools to these parties to battle me. And I thought I was onto something because I never lost to any of these dudes. Then I entered battles in high school and college and battle dudes like, you know, within my state, within other regional states nearby in the Midwest. And I was like, I'm fucking nice with it. So started putting my own albums together. And, you know, I can go back and be honest about it. These aren't the world's greatest rap albums, but it was just like, it was providing a career for me. I was learning as I went, which a lot of artists now don't have that like affordability. It's kind of like you're getting into it now and everyone has ADD and everyone's like, go, go, go. So you don't have years and years and years to kind of like have the trial and error with it. And I had that. And that was really helpful in my development as an artist. But while I was the artist, I knew I would one day segue into the executive side of things. But I didn't necessarily want to let go of the artistry because I still had rap dreams to live out. Like I toured all of America. I have toured countries far and wide. I broke the Guinness World Record. I had 4 M80 albums, or 2 M80 albums. I'm sorry. Yeah, 2 M80 albums and 2 Almighty albums on the Billboard Rap Top 100. Like, these were my rap dreams. I had songs on the radio. I had mad press associated to just the name M80 outside of Wu-Tang and outside of my works with Corrupt and Planet Asia and the likes. So it's like, it's not like I had a failed rap career and decided to make this amazing change that altered my life for the better. I still had a great rap career, and I used those monies that I earned from rap to fund my education, which now education is the most invaluable piece of what I do on a day-to-day basis. I could not operate how I operate without that education.
You know, one thing about it, 80, and to hear you speak on this in so much of an intricate and intimate detail about the nascency of your beginnings, and then how you use that to facilitate your next step. You were already 5 steps ahead in terms of what your 10-year plan was, in terms of what you were going to do.
Yep. Since the late 90s, early 2000s, you know, when I met RZA, I met RZA in 03, 04.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I met Dreddy Kruger and all Wu-Tang around that time. That's when I picked up on like RZA's 5-year plan. And I've literally set 5-year plans for myself since then. And I've, you know, within the 5-year plans is what I want to accomplish on a yearly basis, what I hope to accomplish on a monthly basis. And that is what sustained my work ethic 20 plus years later.
This is amazing because so many artists, because so many artists do not take.
Hey, I didn't mean to cut you off, man, but you know, to build off that plan, and I think it also taught him how to deal with egos, because to take 9 people out of the slums and bring them together, that's a motherfucker.
Yes, yeah. And RZA's just a whole different animal. You know, I know everyone in the clan very well, but RZA's always been the most versatile, the most well-spoken, the most traveled, the most cultured. So RZA's dedication to business implementation, for better or worse, no matter how you want to nitpick it, has always been from a stance of like a greater aptitude than the rest of the people, you know? So like RZA might not be in love with making Wu-Tang Clan music anymore, but he certainly hasn't fallen out of love with the culture and things to do to benefit his legacy. And you have no choice but to respect it for what it is. It does not take away from what he cemented in the first decade of his career, in the first 2, you know, ongoing 5-year plans. You got Wu-Tang Chambers, you got Wu-Tang Forever, and that right there could be the legacy at the end of the day, whether you like everything that came after that or not. He went from putting on 9 people to putting on hundreds after that.
Yeah. I mean, reading the Wu-Tang manual, M80, that RZA wrote, it was released over 20 years ago. We got the full picture of how, because obviously this book is written 11 years after of course, the 36 Chambers in 1993 was released. So we actually get the full story as RZA broke it down as to how this all came together. And you saw that
seems like a whole eternity ago, right?
Yeah. We're old, aren't we?
Fuck shit. Yeah, man. I had to just like check myself real quick in my head. And I'm like, yeah, that date is right, because I was with RZA when that came out, and I have one of the first signed copies. I was with RZA the day that 8 Diagrams came out, and he told me this is the first copy I've signed to this, and I have it. Like, so yeah, man. God bless RZA. You know, when RZA and I talk business and I talk like this, he'll be like, whoa, M80, stop. don't talk to me in your hustle voice. Talk to me normally. And I'm like, bro, this is how I talk. Like, there's no hustle voice. It is what it is. You know, we laugh about it, but like, I talk with purpose. Like I walk like a New Yorker. Like I walk with purpose. I walk with a destination in mind. I got places to be. I got places I want to go. You know, so it's like there's no slouch about it. There's no fucking just moving to move and be present in the atmosphere. And you know, like Kill Priest describes himself as a space cadet with a tape cassette player. You know, like no, I move with purpose. Yeah.
Man, look, we could add comedian to your already impressive resume.
Oh, you definitely
well.
can. You definitely can. And I have tapes of my I have tapes of my stand-up career on VHS from way back, from 16, 17.
Is there anything that you don't do in terms of having a creative outlet? Because obviously your foundation of understanding, I had to have so many crazy conversations because him as an artist as well starting out, you both understood what it meant to really, really, really go through the ups and downs.
No, the only thing I just don't use as a creative outlet is engineering. I literally think that has to be left up to the professionals. You know, it's been very helpful to me, but it also has caused hurt. Like having to understand like how an album is properly mastered. Or, you know, I'm sure we'll get into this at some point, but like the Fat Beats lawsuit, that whole thing was predicated on the fact that they released a copy of the album that we didn't approve. Being me and Capadonna. There's never been a record deal in the history where the very first name that's on the shit doesn't have to sign off on a contract. Like we didn't sign off on this deal. We didn't hear the master until the deal was done. And on a master, every song has to be on the same DB like plane. And when we got this, and if you listen to the version that Fat Beats released, and you put it in like a you know, take it to a studio and put it in a system, every song volume is on a different plane. So therefore, like you can't argue against that. The master is shit. And it's not like it's a, you know, M80 album from the year 2000 or in high school or something. This is Capadonna, the Wu-Tang Clan. Like we expect a certain level of quality and consistency.
Right.
Yeah, that's nothing more, nothing less.
Now, what you said, M80, because I also wanted to talk to you as well. We wanted to ask you this question because you were speaking about the issues in terms of labels releasing unauthorized albums that have not been signed off. And on Off the Cuff, we are never about having any tawdry or any type of, you know, we never take aim at anybody in terms of just trying to take shots. We always try to stay in our journalistic principle as accurate as possible. This also brought to my mind the situation years ago with Dame Dash and Currency, if you were familiar with that in terms of what happened with that lawsuit. Yeah. How do these contracts normally are supposed to be structured in terms of an artist label agreement in terms of, because I'm assuming, and you're the lawyer in this, so you know this better than ourselves.
Well, to clarify, so I have my law degree, and then you know, people take issue with this. So
go ahead.
Legally, I'm a Juris Doctorate. I'm not an Esquire, but yes, it helps me knowing, like, having the law degree in my business of music like administration. So I can help do legal shit for artists of mine that are things that are administrative in nature outside the courtroom. Like the Steina with Chino shit going on. They're like, he tells people he's an attorney, which is against the law. I never tell people I'm an attorney. I have a law degree. Like, if I want to be an attorney, I could be an attorney. If you're smart enough to graduate law school, especially cum laude, you can pass the fucking bar. When I graduated law school, literally a week later, I was asked to go on a whole American tour with cannabis. I was like, hell yeah, cool. I'll take the bar next year. Then we go to do the Almighty album and the Jizza album and Wise Men and then Kill Priest. And then then I was like, I'll do it next year. And then next year we do the Academy and Undergods, 60 Second Assassin and Timbo King. And my life never slowed down. And I'm like, fuck it. It's too late now.
So let me go ahead and rephrase that in terms of lawyer acumen, because obviously you have the academics of it. Yeah. What do artists have to understand and what do labels have to understand in terms of the agreements? Because I'm assuming Currency owned his publishing, and that's how this whole situation with Dame and
so you never know when speaking on someone else's situation. You never know unless you're actually looking at their paperwork. Okay.
Understood.
There's two different kinds of paperwork. For record deals, you have content license agreements and you have master ownership docs. Now, a master ownership doc can be split into two different things. So a content license agreement says the person who made the music is going to own the music. They are licensing it to a company to exclusively release for a certain duration of time. 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years is a traditional window of the time. And then there are
Yes,
rights
sir.
the label gets that's on an exclusive basis from the artist to the record, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, the artist has the right to write the label and say, I would like to end our partnership. And then the music rights revert back to the owner. Okay. So that's content licensing in a nutshell. Master ownership goes one of two ways. You can take a buyout. So we're going to pay you a flat fee and we don't owe you anything else. Example, the Ghostface Killer album I did was a buyout. I paid him one time and I have to pay him one time only. And I can do whatever I want with the music. You can't say shit about it. All right. The second way is I'm signing the master, meaning I'm going to own the record. I'm the label. But you are going to get royalties for whatever, I own the master for perpetuity. You will get royalties in perpetuity as long as royalties are owed. Now, here's where that shit gets tricky because rappers that just want to be the best rapper, you've heard stories about like Wiz Khalifa and he got taken advantage of from like a manager or accountant or whatever for like $8 million. You hear the same story about Rihanna and you hear the same story about many A-list dudes that just wanted to be the best artist they could be, the most famous A-lister they could be, and therefore ultimately have regret at the end of the day because they wanted to assign the roles of really understanding the business of their music to others. I don't have any qualms with that. But every artist in the world should strive to be the best business person they can be as well. Not just the artist. You don't just get to wear one hat anymore. You want to wear all the hats to understand the ins and outs of the industry you're in, right? Like someone doesn't become a medical doctor and refuse to like learn new procedures. Like shit changes. So therefore, if you're willing to learn the business and wear these multiple hats, chances are you're going to have a better course of your career. You're going to strive to do better. You're going to make more money and be happier in the long run. So when artists that just want to be the best artists see a contract, they look for two things. What is the amount of money I'm getting right now? And what is my royalty rate? What is the percentage? So when I signed Benny, for those of you at home that didn't know this, I had signed Benny the Butcher to Holy Twitter Productions when he never sold more than 500 records. I believed in Benny from the minute I met him. I have emails where I was writing labels, trying to get labels to sign Westside and Conway before Shady. And they'd be like, no, like, because this guy's talking all this Hitler shit and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, whatever, let's focus on Benny. So I put literally everything I could into Benny, and I've worked for many years in the Spesh. But Benny, as soon as Tan Talk 3 launched, we had companies offering 400 grand, 500 grand, up to $1 million. And I told Benny, I'm like, our $1 million payday is around the corner. Like, just keep working. But I had to explain to Benny, now, just so you understand, if you're already able to make this amount of money yourself, you don't want to take it from somebody else. Why is that? Because it's not just, if you sign a deal for $500,000, it's not you make the $500,000 back and then you start getting the royalty. It is the $500,000 back times a level of interest, which is usually between 2.5% and 3.5%, like a bank. That is the interest rate. So if you take $500,000, you might not see another penny of your profits until you make $1.5 million. Now, you have to be honest with yourself. Have you ever had a project that's made $1.5 million? If the answer is no, then you have successfully told yourself $500,000 is the most I'm going to make on this. So if you take 20 grand times 3, the multiplier, it's 60, 100, 300. So like with Rakim, I was offered 100 grand off the rip for the God's Network shit just for the digital. And I'm like, no, I'm cool. And they're like, are you sure? Like, it's 100 grand. But I knew 100 grand is really 300 grand. Okay. So I don't want to take 100 if I think I could make 300. So I took 0. And not to put my income out there and shit, but that was the smart play.
Before we go on with this too, because I mean, we're loving this right now in terms of the knowledge you're giving us. And shout out to Benny, City Boy, Mr. Harlem Zone, the whole BSF. Know those guys. Great individuals. Nothing but love for those guys.
And then, the best part, me and Benny had our ups and downs, and now we're all on the up and shit. But like, even when we were on the down, if you were to ask Benny or you were to ask City or Spesh or any of these dudes with the Trust movement or the BSF movement, like M80 never withheld the game from us. Like, never asked us for shit, only strive to put money in their pockets and make moves and tell them like what the best possible course of action was. So that's what I love about those dudes, at their core. Like, they never fronted on me, would give me my props.
And that's important, man, because, you know,
the
one
most
thing about
important.
yeah, and one thing about
The most
that, and
important
one
to
thing
me.
about and one thing about it is that it ebbs and flows, ups and downs, as you said, 80, because it's a situation where this industry is so volatile, it's so unpredictable, and things happen. But the most important thing is that you all can maintain respect to each other as men, and most importantly, you know, you can communicate when the time is right. You know, things may be a little bit on the out for a while,
Rappers and communication is one of the biggest hurdles you'll ever encounter, bro. People, you know, it's not just like rappers and people just don't have time communicating emotions and feelings and mental health and stuff like that. They have a hard time communicating business. Like, I did Benny's contract, and I'm just going to use Benny as an example because it's the perfect example. I know Benny's not educated in the business in the year 2018 like he is in 2025. I know that when I'm doing deals with these people, I'm coming from a higher stance of the business knowledge. I wrote Benny's contract in just plain English, literally zero legalese, breaking down, like, if we sell a CD, this is what we make. Like, you don't see that in contracts, because I wanted Benny to feel like I was treating him as a friend. Like, I want to be in your business. I want to help Black Soprano family. City will tell you too. M80 was the first one to offer to buy us all chains, and I'm like, I'm getting one for me too. And they're cracking up, and I'm like, what do I got to do? Take the blood out? You want to slip my wrist? You want to cut my hand? What do you want to do? So, like, that's how tight we were, man. At least that's how I felt we were. And later, when Benny started blowing up, like, one of his attorneys like laughed at my contract, and I'm like, you're laughing now because you think it's some like idiotic contract, but I wrote that to let Benny know that I wasn't trying to include any like language of fuckery. Like, up front and behind, and he respected it. And in years past, you know, I've helped Benny with broker features, shows, the whole nine, and the attorney just has to be like, damn, this name M80 just keeps coming up. Like, we can't shake this dude. It's like, you don't want to shake me. I'm not someone you want to, like, don't mistake the kindness for weakness, which people have done. Like, when Benny was blowing up, a lot of people was in his ear, like, we don't need the white guy anymore. And it's like, dude, if I'm not fucking you, what's the point of kicking me off the yacht?
Right.
You want me somewhere in a back cabin. So, yo, M80, we need you. And I just fucking magically appear. Like, what's the issue? You want me always to be an asset. You never want me on the other side of you, because if you push me hard enough, you're fucked. And listen, dude, I've done all the dirt in the fucking world. That's why my book is so important. People are going to read this and be like, I had no idea about half the shit this dude's talking about in the fucking book. Like, you really got to push me to the utmost, like, anger extent for me not to laugh at a lot of the shit, dude. You know, like, I have the thickest of skin. I've been through the darkest of days. I've been through the greatest of hurdles to get to where I need to be in life in the present day. So a lot of these people, it's like, you're all just playing with me because you think you can. But if push comes to shove and I want you gone, you're fucking out of here.
And that's how it goes, man, because it's not, your situation is not unique, because so many people, no matter the color, the creed, no matter, you always find those people in that camp that you get people whispering in their ear. When CL Smooth was on Drink Champs, he talked about how the situation between him and Pete Rock became fractured, because you have people in their ears about how one could maybe do without the other. You know, so this happens where you have people come in and are trying to interrupt who have no real, how do I word this, 80 and King? Basically, they're out for their own devices to throw a monkey wrench in a machine where they don't even have a stake in terms of building it in the first place.
Sure. And you know, it's funny, you mentioned Pete Rock and CL Smooth. When I had this little issue with Pete Rock about the Cannabis album, the Cannabis EP, apparently I was the first one to like let the world know that, yo, Pete, like, you've been on bullshit, bro. Like, you called the police on your own partner. And everyone's like, whoa, what? I'm like, yeah, he called the cops on CL Smooth.
We're saying that. What?
Yeah, he called the cops on CL Smooth when they were on tour together in Europe, because CL Smooth pressed the merch and was keeping the money, and like, and Pete Rock called the cops on him. And then Funk Flex went and fucking like verified this shit, and then CL Smooth spoke on it. Like, yeah, this happened. Like, I don't know how this M80 dude knew the shit because I wasn't there, but I knew it. Like, shit like that, bro. Like, yo, that's your fucking man, bro. At the end of the day, like, you're really calling the cops on him because he's making $20 on a fucking t-shirt. You're clearly Pete Rock, and you're better off in life than him. He's selling shit that has his name on it too. Let that motherfucker live, bro. $20 at a time. Cut the shit. Some people are that fucking foul where it's like, no, you really want your man to starve. I've never been like that, nor could I ever be like that.
And you know what's wild is and when you take it on people like, you know, somebody with the caliber of a Pete Rock, or, you know, guys with heavy brands and legendary status quo, so to speak, does it become like very challenging? Because, you know, with that, they could easily flip the narrative.
Oh, yeah. The Pete Rock situation I had was the only time in the history of all my little rap beefs and shit where it's like I converted damn near every Pete Rock fan to my side because I had all the receipts. Pete, like, I didn't produce these records for Cannabis, and then I'd post like an email from Pete like, hey, man, I hope you got the beats. Like, and thanks, I've received the money. Like, I can't wait to hear the shit. Pete's claiming he didn't produce the tracks, but literally double sold one of the beats to us, and one appears on the Flea Lord album. So it's like, if you didn't produce it for us, what are you saying? You didn't produce it for Flea Lord too? And then the signed contract from Pete for the verse, which he said he didn't do, was AI, which is bullshit, because the verse had come out before AI was ever a thing. So it's like, they all one by one had to be like, damn, Pete, like, why the fuck you just lying on this man? And like, you know, Pete just had to eat that shit. And that's why he hates me for life. Cause it's like, you couldn't beat me with your lies, just like I'm dealing with now with like the oldest daughter in the Chino XL estate. Like, what are you so mad at me about, dude? I said I was going to buy these albums. Chino never owned any of his albums in his lifetime. I'm going to buy a couple of them, get them out, turn the masters over to his youngest daughters who knew me for all these years. And Chino told you can trust M80, gave them the masters. They get accounting statements from the distributor every week. They pull the money as they need to pull the money. What the fuck are you mad at me for? Oh, it's because you're not eating. Just be honest with the people and say that's what it is. Otherwise, why do you hate me? Well, why? When your father was supposed to die in 2022, I paid to save his life. Facts. Got the invoices, got the receipts, got the fucking voice notes from Chino himself. Like, you know, all these shits. It's like, it's the grossest thing I've literally ever dealt with in my entire life, especially dealing with so many estates now in the present day. You know, I work with DMX, I work with Sean Price, I work with Prodigy, I work with Fred the Godson, I work with Abe Links, I worked with Hussein Fatal, with Young Noble, like, ODB, the list goes on and on and on. But you've never seen me have any of these fucking issues with any of these people. It's just Chino. And it's like, dude, that was my actual closest friend. This is fucking crazy. It should not be like this.
And you know, one thing about it, M80, because me and King talked about this in pre-production, you know, and we didn't really know how to approach that situation because we wanted to ask you. So we're so grateful that you brought it up, because we knew this is something, and this is another reason why we wanted to have you on the show, because we wanted you to say what you had to say to set the record straight on everything. When you think about the industry in general, because we'll get more back on the legal.
There we go. Sorry, you cut off there for 10 seconds.
It's okay. When we think about the legal,
you cut off for about 10 seconds. I can hear you now.
Got you. When we think about the legal aspects in general, and we're glad to have you on because we wanted you to speak, you know, to address this situation in full, because we didn't really know how to approach it, but we're grateful for it. When you think about the industry in general, rest in peace to Chino the Great, one of the all-time greats. Through your experience, what have you found in this industry about the mental well-being of artists, what they go through? What do people not understand about the pressures of celebrity fame and fortune and trying to maintain the person off the clock who's at home, just trying to be relaxed?
Okay, so I'm going to break down the reality, and we're going to use Chino as the example.
Okay,
Chino
let's get it.
Had 4 or 5 albums come out during the course of his lifetime. Literally, like Tupac, left more music in his afterlife than music released during his lifetime, because Chino was such a perfectionist. Now, Chino was not without sin, okay? Chino did many deals with people to get the bag and then purposely throw a wrench into the program of getting the music released. Ghostface tried to pull that shit on me with the Lost Tapes album. The difference is with these other people that did these deals with Chino and felt like derailed after he got paid in full and stuff, I wouldn't let Ghostface do that to me. I'm like, if you're not going to listen to the master and approve it, I'm putting out myself. By contract, I don't need your fucking approval. I was just trying to do the right thing. Like, you heard all the mixes. You told me what changes to make to the mixes. So I made them. So I know it's good to go. Whatever, we're going. But they scheduled and canceled on me and rescheduled our mastering meeting 16 times. And it wasn't until the 16th time I'm like, I see what's going on here. They're trying to stall me out. That doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on me. But it's funny. It took me that long to figure it out. I was giving them the benefit of the doubt the first 15 times of the rescheduling. So
16 wasn't so sweet though, was it?
Nope, not a sweet 16. Like I literally drove to his manager's house one day. And I left my house at 7 in the morning. He lived 2 hours away. I get to his little gated community and they call and he's not there. And he calls me. He's like, "What are you doing at my house?" I'm like, "I thought I'd surprise you, dude. Like you got to hear this shit." He's like, "Dude, I'm in LA. I'm actually closer to your house." I was like, "Fuck." And I'm like, "Yo, dude, I'm just putting the shit out." And he's like, "Do what you got to do." Ghostface told me he almost made a social media post like, "Yo, don't buy this record, don't support it. Like, I didn't sign off on this." But then he had his conscience kicked in. He's like, M80 literally paid me the exact dollar amount I asked when I asked for it and went by the book. I can't intentionally fuck this dude because he's been so good to me. I paid Ghost 20 grand less than Wu-Tang Clan got as an advance for the Wu Saga album. RZA was like, let me find out if this is real, and I'm doing a record with you. RZA calls Ghost manager. He's like, "Yeah, May dropped the bag off like today." And RZA's like, "All right, man, let's schedule a meeting."
Man,
like I paid Ghost like he was on Def Jam again, like he was on Epic, like any of that shit. Like, come on, don't let your fucking naysayer, because Ghost hangs around tons of people who don't fuck with me. Don't let these people be in your ear telling you I'm a bad person if I've never done bad business by you. Stop that bullshit. It's so indicative of rap culture. If I've never wronged you and you're willing to let other people get in your ear about how either good or bad of a person I am, fuck that noise. You got to be man enough to make that fucking decision for yourself.
But that's always the thing about it, 80, because when you're dealing with people, and this is not just in rap. This is anytime you are a celebrity, you have money, you have any type of prestige or prominence in society, because it's no different than being a pro athlete. You got people who have that access, let me recalibrate my commentary, because y'all know what I'm trying to articulate here.
Yeah.
Basically, when people see you and you're up and you're way up, then you have the people that are the yes men that will not risk their access. So they're just going to go along with everything you say. And then those are the ones. And then there's the ones that are going to try to build a wall to keep everybody else from coming in.
Yeah.
And obviously you've seen it from both sides.
Yes. Now I'm going to take that to get back to your initial point. Every artist that's coming out now and in the past, let's say, better half of a decade, not necessarily a decade, but the better half of a decade, you need to study West Side Gun. If you're not moving like West Side Gun is moving, then you are moving in a manner that is detriment to your career. And now we're getting back to the Chino point. So Chino, who only dropped 5 albums in his year, Chino came out during the golden era of rap. Okay. And in the golden era of rap, depending on if you're signed to a major label, Chino started his career with Rick Rubin. So you release an album, you tour America, you tour international, you do heavy marketing, you do heavy merchandising and physicals and the whole nine. And depending on your level of advancement, and if your record sells through to go gold or platinum or multi-platinum, then you have provided a foundation to be sustained until you get back in the studio several years later to do your follow-up record or records, plural. We are not in those times anymore. That is gone. It is like it never existed. If you're operating under that guise, sorry for you. It's not going to work out for you. Example, Keith Murray, who is not an M80 fan anymore, and it's because of my blunt honesty, calls me like 2-3 years ago. I just finished my brand new solo album. It's executive produced by Eric Sermon. I got Redman on it. I got this. Essentially telling me he just made the same album he's always made every time. But the difference now is his last solo album was pre-2009. The Under Gods album, which is the last official title, was 2009, 2011. So he's like, what kind of money do you think's out there for me for an advance? He's not talking about like how much money I can make selling my record. He's talking about an advance from a label. I said 0. Fuck you, M80. What do you mean 0? I'm Keith Murray. 0 because labels play off of the analytics of your last SoundScan history, your last sales reports. Your last sales report is so long ago, there is no way for a label to quantify what your project and who you are and what you're worth in the present day. Another example, Rakim. His last album was The Seventh Seal. It came out in 2009. So what I did by giving the world a new Rakim project year 2024 was essentially solidify a brand new SoundScan for Rakim. It didn't matter that it was only 7 songs, that it was the first ever project fully produced by Rakim. It didn't matter that Rakim wanted to delve in his feature bag and let his peers shine alongside him. The fact of the matter is I got his numbers back where they need to be. So when Rakim goes to any label to broker a new deal in the year 2025, he can ask for literally $500,000, $1 million, show a SoundScan that is as recent as a year ago, and get the fucking bag without quantification or hesitation of the analytics of it. The numbers are right then and there, and guess what? That's exactly what he fucking did. So world, you're welcome. You'll have a brand new Rakim solo album sooner than motherfucking later.
And was that one of the one of the main issues when you're dealing with legends is introducing them to a new audience, because the demographic that Rod is re-entering is different from the time that he came out. So do you find that as a challenge?
Yes, because here's a challenge for 2 reasons. One, people as they get older, 40s and 50s, aren't buying the albums, aren't attending the concerts. You know, they're different people. They got families, they have life expenses, they have different priorities and responsibilities, and you have no choice but to respect it. The second part is, if you've supported a legacy artist for whether 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years or more, you get to the point where you feel like you've done enough and you don't have to support any longer. Okay. Yep. So that's why you see an artist like GZA go from his debut album was platinum to the next album was gold to now, can you sell 100,000 units? Can you sell 50,000? To be determined. GZA signed a deal in 2008 for his Dark Matter album that still has yet to see the light of day. Every year that goes by after 2008 means that the label's investment is worth less and less and less.
Now, it's funny you said that, M80, because this also brings me up another anecdotal. This was years ago with Cormega and the situation he went through with Def Jam, with the Testament album, and all that he went through in terms of the drama and reference. Because he talked about this in XXL Magazine in 2001, of all the drama and how that record got held up. Because this was going from 1997, and how he was trying to get the album back. And they were still trying to charge him like $250,000 for it. But his lawyer was saying, even if the music is still, you know, even because the years have gone by, it can depreciate even if the music is still dope. Yeah. But you can still get caught up in that, you know, label limbo. And when we look at it,
and here's the funny part about it. As the time goes by, the label has already written that off for taxes.
Okay.
So it's really of no substantial loss to the label to just give it to you after you've already written it off.
You think it's just punitive that they try to do that for the artists?
Right. No, they don't. They want their money.
Got you. Understood.
Again, the artist isn't supposed to understand that your shit's already been a write-off to the label. They sign artists to shelve them just for the tax write-off. That's why independent grind is so great. Motherfuckers aren't signing no one to an independent label to shelve them. It happens, but that's not the intention. Yeah, that's a big part of my book too. Like, there's a chapter on Sound Records Entertainment that deals with cannabis and the Undergods and Bronze Nazareth and 60-Second Assassin and Sons of Man, where like the label got so fed up with working with cannabis and Keith Murray and 60 and all these people, they were going to just shelve the albums and take the loss. I stole the masters, like literally took them, like went around the label, went to the engineer, I went to an intern, I got them, I put the 60-Second Assassin album out myself. Then when they found out about it, like they were going to sue me, so I like, you know, like damn near was going to go bankrupt and be like, fuck it. Then after that, they didn't sue me, and we started talking again because they wanted to get back in the music. And I was like, look, I need the Undergods album, and I already had the files, but I wanted them to feel like they were part of the deal. So they allowed me to broker the deal with RBC Records, where they, Cannabis and Keith could get an advance to add some more songs to it. And then the label would eat off the back end. And that went well. But it's like, had I not been like, I'm going to do some abhorrent fuck shit, like those records would have never heard the light of day. Sometimes you really have to be the fucking bad guy. I don't mind it.
It's funny because when you say you stole the record, a shout out to Razcast. We love him dearly. We had him on the show some years ago.
And by the way, Razcast was my former arch nemesis. That's a good chapter of the book. Like Razcast, we were at the point where one of us was going to die. Maybe both of us.
Oh, Lord.
But we both accepted that as facts. Crooked Eye brokered the peace between me and Raz. And that was it was the same day the Static King album came out. Crooked and Static Selector in Los Angeles at the release party. I was going to kill Razcast that night. Crooked Eye knew it. Sat me down with Raz. We made peace. Went on to do the Horseman album. Me and Raz are working on a couple of projects right now. We've done tour dates together, the whole nine. But like Raz describes me as like his best worst friend. Like, but the sell point was, yo, Raz, like you got some kind of personal vendetta against M80, but look who fucks with M80. All the real ones, bro. So whatever personal shit you got against this dude, you got to fucking let that go, because he means too much to so many people. If you take him off the board, you fucked with a lot of people's programs. And they will not forgive you for that. No one will forgive you for taking away the guy who puts fucking food on the table. And Crooked Eye, who's telling this to Razcast, he's a testament to that. I'll probably put one or two of his kids through college.
Man, look, we're just going to do shameless self-promotion here to you, M80. RZA, Ghostface, Crooked Eye. We would love to have them on the show if they'll do it. Put the word out to them. We would love to have them on.
Understood. Understood. RZA is definitely the hardest one to convince to do shit, but everyone else I can let know. I mean, look, we're gonna have a new Crooked Eye album before year's end, so I'll get him to do the shit and promo for the album.
We would love to have Crooked on the show, especially a lot of people don't understand he was 17 years old when he signed to Virgin Records, and straight out of Long Beach, shout out to them. I was laughing at what you said about stealing the files, because Raz did that years ago when he was having his issues with Priority Records and he went on a run. I can speak on this because he spoke about it in Double XL magazine years ago about it. When they were having that issue with the Golden Child thing, and then of course there was that issue with Jadakiss and Alchemist about the Home Sweet Home beat and everything. And
I remember that shit like it was yesterday.
This is all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is all before social media. So I mean, you really.
I had a mixtape. I had a mixtape that had the Razcast version of the Alchemist song on it.
Man, and when you think about the business aspect, because Alchemist stayed very professional and very calm about it. I understand Raz was upset about the situation at the time, how it happened, because he felt like, Alchemist double dipped the beat, where I think it was actually the record label ended up just paying the money. You're going to know more about than myself in terms of the breakdown.
Look, the artist is always going to feel away, and then there's like the reality of the situation. So like without knowing the ins and outs of that, I think Razcast, if I remember the story right, had that beat first.
Yes, he did.
So it wasn't like his label or him bought it. It was like you had it first with the option to purchase it. And then Jadakiss ended up getting it, and clearly they took care of business. So Raz feels away without understanding the business of it.
Right.
I've had beats pulling from me before, literally as late as the mastering phase of turning an album in. It happens.
Ooh.
And you feel a way about it because you've already heard this song so many fucking times and loved it for what it is. And now at the last minute, it gets changed on you. So you hate it, even though it ends up becoming great. You have to let it grow on you. But you've heard it so many times, you don't want to hear it any other way. You don't want to have it beat mapped. You don't want a new production or a new producer or whatever it is. But it happens, dude. It happens. And again, this is not an industry for the emotional. You got to let shit go, and you got to keep it pushing. Like I work with a lot of veterans. I work with some dudes that are considered one-hit wonders. In the business side of things, I never wanted to be considered a one-hit wonder. Like, M80 did the Rakim album, or he did a Wu-Tang album, or he did this Almighty album, or whatever it is. I wanted to be a one-hit wonder 1,000 times over. So that's how I operate when I'm doing these 5-year plans, the 1-year plans within the 5 years, the whole 9. And I've had 10 some top 10 albums in the past 2 years between Wu-Tang and Rakim and 38 Special and Planet Asia and Huss Kingpin and you name it. That's the point. Like, say what the fuck you want about me, but I don't know anyone else doing it like me.
And
especially
that's
when you're going
always
for
going to be
bat for a lot of it. Especially when you have
Yeah.
somebody that's going for bat for a lot of these artists, and you know, on the business side, because they're very creative behind the studio, but the business side, man, it's a rough thing. It's a rough thing to learn.
Yes. And then look, and then you have this. So say you're an artist that's signed to a major, and then you're like, fuck this, I'm gonna go independent and try my hand at it. Then you have to wear, like I said, all the hats. And then you gotta work 10 times harder, and you're like, yo, fuck, I can't do this, or this is too difficult. Then that project comes out. Then you try to get back to the majors. Again, the majors are going to go off the sound scan from your last project, which is your independent record that chances are failed in comparison to your major numbers. Then you're fucked. Then good luck. Like, you can't get back because you don't want to settle for the reality that you've created for yourself. Artists always want to live in the delusion. Like, the money is never going to cease. The fans are never going to stop supporting. The tour dates and show dates are never going to stop getting booked. But guess what? Every year that goes by, more and more people enter the arena, and people want new blood. They want the new feel. They want the new sound. And not that there's a problem with that. Live your life. Be what you want to be in this world. But please live in reality. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
And what you say, 80, is essential, because and there's so many different things in that you just said that we fortunately have a little bit of time to speak on all of it. What you said about the independent part of it, because when Cormega decided to start his own label, Legal Hustle, and he went on Landspeed, the album sold over 100,000 copies. But you figure he was able to get more of the money because he was pretty much. How important is it for an artist to have that fan base and to not be in the delulu of it in terms of thinking that they're popular and then knowing that they're really popular and they can do this on their own?
Dude, it's like the greatest freedom in the world when you can get to that stage of your career. When you know, if you can accept the fact, look, I'm not under the control of someone. I am now in control of my career. I understand that I might not sell as much as I used to. I might not be on the radio as much. I might not make as much money per show. But if you can accept the reality of your situation and still be in control of your situation, that's the greatest freedom. Another point relating back to Chino, and I spoke on this in my IG stories today. Chino was not an artist that just went to the studio to record music. He went to the studio to record when there was a paycheck that required him to record. He was not like 38 Spesh or Benny, who just goes to make raps because they know if I put out a new album, I'm going to make $250,000. He went when people paid him to go, and that's why so much of his shit is owned by other people. That's the reality of it. Accept it for what it is or don't. It does not fucking move me one way or the other, okay? I live in truth, all right? So that being said, he didn't believe in himself like Cormega believed in himself and let himself win. Yes, every rapper sets up their own company at some point just for the namesake of it. You know, whether they want to sign other artists or not, or just have an imprint that's with them so they can go from signing an artist deal to a joint venture deal. Because when you sign a joint venture deal, you have the ability to put on other people under your umbrella, under your label company umbrella, okay?
Right.
So that's the difference, that's the beauty of it. But I'm telling you, for an artist like Cormega to do that, especially during that era, shows great belief in self, shows progress. And that's the kind of shit that the labels, the major label infrastructure fears. Like, they're getting powerful, they're getting knowledgeable, they're getting strong. Fuck. So now major labels have to make greater concessions to the artists. Like when I was with RBC and Brian Shafton then became the VP of Urban at BMG, there was a time where they were going to sign Run the Jewels. Now, thankfully, they still figured out a way to work with Run the Jewels, but Run the Jewels ended up signing with Mass Appeal. It was the same amount of money being offered, but Mass Appeal had offered a fucking tour bus as a non-recoupable expense, meaning it's a gift. RBC was not just paying for a fucking tour bus. Like, there's certain shit where labels have to really step it up now. You see deals like 21 Savage where he owns his masters. There were no fucking label deals for majors back in the day where you could own your masters. You have to play to the strengths of the artist now if you want to stay in business as the label. Every year I have to worry about what will this next year hold for me, because there was a time where I signed on to be an A&R at Def Jam coming right out of law school. I literally had the tow
Right.
truck pick all my shit from San Francisco, move it to New York. I flew to Indianapolis to see my family for a couple days, and literally got the call that my job was no longer there for me. They had laid off 100
Oh,
people between the
wow.
A&R and AD department, artist, A&R and artist development, and we're merging the department. And that's when I set up shop for myself in Indianapolis. So literally, I was taking the label job because I wanted to be like, I'm an A&R for Def Jam. That's a cool thing to tell people, especially coming out of law school and being, essentially wet behind the ears. The greatest thing about it, though, was fucking making my own bones and making a name for myself. And no, Holy Toledo Productions isn't regarded in the same light as Def Jam or Interscope or Rock Nation. I guarantee you, when I sit down at these A&R seminars, the artists get more from me than the people that are selling them generic fucking bullshit like, keep working hard, man. It's going to happen for you one day. They want my advice when I'm telling them, fix this, do this differently, maybe blah, 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 blah. They're like, and then the A&Rs on the panel are laughing at me, but the artists certainly aren't. I don't give a fuck.
But the bravado comes from the experience, and that bravado and confidence is not built from any type of artificial intelligence. It comes from the ups and downs, the trial and error, and even this doubt, can I really do this? How did you manage to maintain that unshakable and unwavering confidence and
in 2009,
strength?
2009, 2010, after I break the Guinness World Record, I go on tour with Planet Asia. We make a stop. It's like a 20-some date tour. I talk about it in my book as well. We make a stop in New York, and I'm on BET, and I'm like so honored as the white guy to be on BET. I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm on BET's The Roundtable show with Lenny S. and like Maya and some other people. And I'm talking about, as an A&R, as an executive, as a label guy, I'm not trying to hit a grand slam every time. I'm independent. I'm learning as I go. I'm building. It's about investing and making profit back. So as long as I can stay on base, I'm comfortable with that. And you could tell that no one on the show had ever even considered that, because no major label operates like that. They're putting up hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to make multiple millions back. That's the grand slam every time. They're not worried about just keeping the lights on. When I'm talking about keeping the lights on and moving on to the next shit. As long as I'm not losing, I'm winning in my mind, right? And they're like, God damn, this kind of makes sense. I'm talking about just staying on base, just keeping my name alive, just letting people know my company's active with it, And that's where the bravado comes from, dude. It's like, I never gave up on me. I never sold out. I never took on a project I didn't want to take on or believe in. I never worked with an artist I didn't believe in or felt like I could genuinely make better. Now, granted, towards the end of Chino's lifetime, I finally had him believing in himself. The underlying theme with Chino was none of that shit mattered because his health took a turn for the worse. And there's nothing we could have done to correct that. I didn't know Chino had stage 4 cancer until after he passed. He literally kept that from damn near the entire world. It was not, I thought it was just he needed the surgery again that I paid for in 2022. It kept him alive for an extra 2 years. He told me he needed that again and needed to put the funding together. Okay. I didn't know about the cancer. But Chino made posts on Instagram. There's a video post of Chino saying it out of his own mouth I have, and there's a Chino post I have that he texted himself. I got him convinced to be on that West Side Gun program, bro. If you know each one of these records could say make 20 or 30 grand and you're a family man and you got mouths to feed, it's not okay to just rely on Immortal Technique to call you when there's the next tour. Viper Records put his album out in 2012? That was it. That was it. There's no other follow-up Viper Records album. When Chino and I did the deal with Fat Beats for the Reconstruction LP, Chino made more money on the deal for $4,000. And then when we sold the 150 copy allotment that we had that he signed, we made an extra like $8-9 grand than he did on the album with Viper Records. Listen to what I just fucking said. We made more money selling 150, 60 units ourselves than Chino got paid on the whole album from a label. And that was the last album before God's Network. Or sorry, not God's Network, God's Carpenter. God's Network was Rakim. God's Carpenter, I don't get enough credit for that shit because that only was released because I paid for the surgery to keep Chino alive. I made no money on that record. I'm not Brutal Music. That's Stu Bangers. You look in the credits of the album, my name's not fucking in there. There should have been a whole page honoring me.
You know, and that's something where it just shows how the business can be crazy because, you know, and obviously we're not trying to shade or slander anybody on Off the Cuff.
Nope,
This is all in the context
not
of
at
the
all. I just
conversation
gotta speak the
because,
truth.
because
I love
Cormega's
people.
going through this same. Yeah, because Cormega, he's on Viper right now, and I believe he's having some issues. I don't know to the extent, but he's talked
Well, and
about it
it's by
online.
the
And
way,
there
it's a
was
different Viper than what it was
okay, different
then.
Viper.
Because Viper, no, well, Viper at the time was this guy Jonathan who owns it, and Immortal Technique, like together like this, and they're apart.
Okay,
So like Immortal or Cormega might have just done a deal with Jonathan, and
got you.
not to say like I don't like working with other rappers, but I'm also comfortable, and other rappers are comfortable working with me, knowing like my whole shtick is getting artists a fair shake, getting them the most bread for their fucking work. Like, great example. Another example on this Chino shit.
Go ahead.
They
Go
have
ahead.
all the contracts I did with Chino in his lifetime.
Yes, sir.
And Chino, again, he's an independent artist, like the majority of my artists. They do deals outside of me. They don't run all their plays by me, though they fucking should. It's the smart thing to do, especially because I got to sign off on a bunch of the shit. Chino, before he passed, did an EP deal with this company for $2,000. The last EP deal I brokered for Chino was provided for the Range Rover and another like 20 G's. There's a humongous difference when you have me versus when you're doing it yourself. The last 2 features I brokered for Chino, he made over 10 G's. The last 2 he did for himself, he made a stack. There's a difference there. Like, I get artists the biggest bags. The Ghostface situation, we've already gone through that. Ghostface told me when he did the Ghostface Killers album, he got paid like a fourth or less of what I paid him. Same thing when he did Czarface versus Ghostface. But I believed in what I could make happen with that record. And that's why that chapter of the book is so good. I go to Ghostface, yo, if we do this shit together, we can make 400 grand and split it. Ghost's like, nah, man, sounds like a lot of work. Just kick me off with like 120. So I did that. And a lot of Wu-Tang had resentment towards me because they're like, you ended up making more on Ghostface album than Ghostface. When typically I just get paid to do my job, and it's a fraction of what the artist is making. So, but that's the reality of it. He didn't want to join the program that would have made him the most money because he was not willing to work how I wanted him to work. So he chose, what can I do to do essentially the least amount of work and still make what I'm comfortable with making? I'm okay if that's what you want to choose, but don't get mad at me when I do all the fucking work and make the most money from it.
I mean, but that's how it goes. And what you said earlier about when Chino about waiting for Immortal Technique, one thing about it, and this all ties in perfectly in this, because one thing about it at Off the Cuff, when King told me we were getting you, I was shocked because he said he just reached out to you when you hit him right.
And by the way, no one bought my pizza and wings today, but I still had pizza and wings today.
Oh yeah, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
But
yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, that's coming, man. It's along with the lemon pepper wings, and the soy sauce.
Dude, I had the fucking garlic parm joints today. Woo. So
but the thing about it is that there's like the Bible said, faith without work is dead. And for what we do, we can't do this show without putting in effort to reach out to people. We swing for the fences, and we just do what we can do. And for people like you to sit down with us, I mean, I was like, we got him for real.
I like how you start your show with the badass stuff because I just so happen to be wearing my DPG chain right now.
Yeah, man, that's a good friend of ours, man. Rest in peace to Badass.
Yep. I tell you what, his people sent me his unreleased album to help them with, and I'm like, it just wasn't for me. I never worked. See, here's my thing. I worked with all these people: DMX, Chino, Fred, Sean Price. During their lifetimes. I can't just come in and work with someone that I didn't work with during their lifetime after they passed. So like I was offered, I talk about this in the book. I was offered to buy the rights to an unreleased J Dilla album, and I was totally with it. And that deal didn't go through, but I had major qualms about the fact I never worked with J Dilla in his lifetime. And I wasn't the biggest J Dilla fan growing up. I really didn't know the extensiveness of J Dilla's catalog until after he passed. And I'll be the first to say that out of my own mouth and admit it. I didn't know all the people.
Honest, yeah.
Yes, that's just the honesty of it. So it was the same with Badass. I heard the record, whether I liked it or not. I just didn't want to be that guy. I think that maybe one day, like maybe Snoop will put it out from Death Row or another company. If the people are proactive about getting it in the hands of where it needs to go. I just did not feel like my hands were those hands.
But that's a very that's stand up of you, 80, because the fact
Okay.
is, and we have always felt like in general that the people who are close to those people who understand them, know their sensibilities and their methods, it makes more sense for them to execute, to be the executor of that intellectual property, whether those people are there or
Yeah.
not, because they
Yep.
understand how this should be done.
Yep.
When you look at it from that perspective, and one more thing too, because I got to know where to get this book from, because I do books heavy, and I
Yep.
would love to get a signed copy from you.
Every copy ordered from October 3rd to November 3rd come personalized and autographed.
Okay, is that on your site?
I'm in control. I'm in control of all the sales for this first month. After that, I don't know who's controlling what, because then it will start going to different retailers and stuff. And like, if you buy it from like Barnes and Nobles, clearly it's not coming through my hands. So, but
Right.
all the orders that come the first month come personalized and autographed, the whole nine. Everyone who buys it is entered into this raffle that's taking place November 4th to win autographed memorabilia from Wu-Tang Clan and Rakim and Snoop and so on and so forth. Mine comes with a free digital download, a free bookmark. There's a curated playlist that's essentially like the soundtrack to the book that you get access to. It's literally the best song I A&R'd. It's 22 tracks from 2024 to 2025. I'm sorry, 2004 to 2025.
I'll DM you. Is it on your IG? All the
It
particulars
is
of
the
it.
first link in my bio. It is 100ways.myshopify.com. But it's the first link in my bio. Yeah, if you want to promote that, I'd appreciate that greatly. I came up with the concept for the book in 2016. I worked on it sparsely from 2016, 2018, and then stopped because certain chapters of the book, the narrative was changing. Like the Razcast chapter would have originally ended like, by the time you read this, one of us might be dead. And now it's like, that's my best close friend. And we did the Horseman album, and we did this, and like, you know, like Raz was in the room when I banged this chick. Like, you know, funny shit. It's cool. Just real quick, because it's, you know, he's a friend of ours. One of my funniest Razcast stories from when he didn't like me was when we were working on the Horseman album. Now we're in the studio together. It's me, Corrupt, Cannabis, and Priest, and this is like 2010, some shit. And this girl, the girl that was formerly an intern at Sound Records Entertainment in Seattle, the one who got me the masters for the Undergods, was in LA, and I just happened to be in LA. She came to meet me at the studio, and Raz was like, "I'm gonna take M80's bitch." He doesn't know this isn't my bitch. I'm just meeting this bitch for the first fucking time. Excuse me, for lack of a better word. You know, nice female. Meeting this nice female for the first time. But he thinks he's going to take my bitch, and I'm going to feel some way about it. Well, Raz is with this girl, and it's his female assistant. So we're at this party for Priest later, and we got bottles and shit. We got our own section. We're doing it up. And Raz like grabs the girl by the hand, and he grabs a bottle, and they walk to the other side of the club, and he just leaves his assistant. I'm like, yo, watch this. And I'm being so nice to his assistant. I'm giving her all these compliments and da-da-da-da. And Razcast is outside smoking a cigarette, and like, I guess he tried to like pull the chick, and the chick was like, you know, my boyfriend's at home waiting for me. So he gets a hug and a goodbye. And then Raz is smoking a cigarette and sees me walk out of a car door and put my pants on, and then see his assistant walk out the car door too. And I'm going to fuck you up. And I'm just cracking up, and Cannabis and Corrupt are telling me can't fight me and shit. So it's like, our history is so awesome.
Man, look, I mean, that when you, and obviously in the introduction, I did not know you had author on your resume as well. What was the impetus for you deciding to write all of this?
So when I came up with the concept for the book, it was originally called Who's Your A&R? And the theme was just the best stories of my career in chronological order. Then, you know, I had so many of these like life-threatening experiences. I'm like, okay, we're switching it up. It's now called 100 Ways to Almost Die. It's not about my best experiences. That could be a whole other book for a whole other time. And it might incorporate some of these same death stories, but it's going to be all the stories where my life was essentially put on the line or almost jeopardized from just doing me, you know? And that's the theme of the book. So like, yeah, you're not getting like the best stories in the world. Not every story makes me look like the good guy. People died along the way. People got hurt along the way. Lots of dirt was done, but the book is fucking awesome, and it's hilarious and insightful, and it will definitely make people think twice about playing with me. And that's all I can ask for. Like that, you know, there's some people that are in the know. Like Priest used to tell members of Wu-Tang when they play with me, like, yo, M80's been to prison, and like, he was like the safest kept dude in prison from what I hear. Like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, he was in an all black gang, bro. Like they considered him a race traitor. They're like, what? So like, until you know, then newfound respect comes. People start talking to me and treating me a different way. But now if you read it, it will be like a reminder. Like, how about don't fuck around and find out? How about just do right by me and I'll do right by you? Because the only time I've wronged anyone is when I felt like they were going to wrong me or try to wrong me. Other than that, we can make money together for a fucking lifetime. Be cool.
What did Tony Montana say? I never fucking listen, Sosa. I never fuck anybody over in their life that they have it coming to them.
Yep. Yep. Hey guys, just so you know, I have 15 minutes if that's okay.
That's okay. That's great.
If we have to do a part 2 at some point, we can do a part 2.
We can't wait to do the part 2. One thing we wanted to ask you before you get out of here, 80. In terms of, because obviously I do books heavy, I still do the physical.
Wait! I didn't finish answering the question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
During
Please.
During the pandemic, I wrote 2 books. Now, this is my first real book that I'm going to say is my real book because it's Matt Markoff. These are my stories. The first book was called Famous Dick Pics, and it sold out. And it was famous people named Dick, Rick, and Richard, drawn as like animated penises with funny biographical, like sexual blurbs that I made up. That shit was a mega hit. But of course, everyone on the internet's like, this guy's a fucking fag, he's gay. And I'm like, wait till you understand what the book's about. And people still call me gay, but the book was awesome. The second book, which also sold out, was called There's 30 pages of rhymes in this motherfucker, the true untold story of the campus disaster battle. That sold out, and it really gave people insight because, again, I'm the only one who knew what the fuck really happened that day. What was the in and outs of this battle? Why was this even a thing? Like, and that book was amazing. So for people who did not own that book, there's 3 chapters in the book. I took the middle chapter and put that into the 100 Ways to Almost Died book. You can essentially read the Canvas book without having to own it.
Man. And like I said, we do physical copies of books as well. We wanted to ask you this as well, being a veteran of this game. Physical copies and music, CDs and everything. Shout to Cardi B with her hilarious comedian ass. We love Cardi dearly.
Oh, dude, I've had that idea so many times to do it, to go to Venice Beach and just set up shop. Let people film me. I'll probably do that. I'll probably do that soon. It's hilarious. One, that's what I did on my come up as an artist. I did not leave high school each day. I did not leave college each day until I made at least $100. I was the richest person I knew in school. So I did that shit for 7 years times 200 to 300 days a fucking year. On top of doing shows, on top of getting paid for features and fucking everything else. Like, come on, dude. Like, I moved like 50,000 fucking units.
Do you believe that the market is still out there for physical copies of albums?
Yes, again, if you're honest with yourself of what you can realistically push. The days of independent art, remember, I don't remember when the last time I saw this analytic was. I want to say the last time I looked was around 2015. In the year 2015, before streaming was a thing and all that shit, there was 10 independent artists a year that would sell more than 10,000 units. That is a crazy statistic because now you got so many people going gold and platinum and diamond from streaming, from TikTok, from shit like that. So that didn't exist in that era. So I'm assuming the number is far greater now. But again, even for a Rakim, we can still press 200-300 cassette tapes and sell them. They're collector's items. We could still press 2,000, 3,000 CDs and sell them through. We can still press 1,000 to 2,000 vinyls and sell them through. No problem. But I'm not going to press 100,000 of something. That's not where we're not there anymore. So you can still make money and touch the income in real time when you're doing direct to consumer, and you don't have to wait monthly or quarterly for the streaming check or whatever. But yes, you have to live in the realm of reality. It's not the 90s. It's not the early 2000s. The days of the high fucking $300,000 to $1 million advances from labels are gone unless you're signed to a major. So just be realistic. And that's why I was so happy when I had Chino on the program. And by the way, the family has since deleted the posts where Chino was like, I'm gonna release 3-4 albums this year. And when I say the family, I'm just talking about the oldest daughter, China. Reminder, I turned the Masters and the Prophets to the albums over to Lyric and Bella, the youngest ones, the only 2 daughters I knew in Chino's life and that Chino had introduced me to. I never knew China existed, and they have such a hard time believing that. Like, there's no reason for me to lie. Like, I didn't meet you until after your pops passed. Like, let's just call it what it is. I used to hear Chino talk about Lady. I used to hear Chino talk about Lady London on a weekly basis. And she hates my guts and her mom hates my guts, but it doesn't change the reality. I told him, I know who you are because Chino put me up on you. Like, that's the reality of it. Chino, they deleted the post where he's like, I'm working on these 4 albums right now and I'm gonna drop 3 in the next calendar year. And like, they want to be like, M80's trying to release more music than Chino did in his own lifetime. And it's like, I'm honoring your pop's wishes. Like, you can act like that post didn't exist, but like, we already have it screenshotted. I have the video of these words coming out of Chino's mouth. Oh, okay. I see a question right now from Doobie Sonics. I didn't know people could do it. Doobie Sonics says, please ask M80 why Ghostface act like he didn't make the Lost Tapes sound with Big Ghost LTD during the interview with Big Kev. Here's the reason. That was Big Kev's fault. Big Kev says to Ghostface, he prefaced the question in a way to throw Ghostface off. He says to Ghostface, tell us about the Lost Tapes album you did in 2023. We didn't do a Lost Tapes album in 2023. We did a Lost Tapes album in 2018. Even I was confused, and I made the fucking album. So Ghostface is thrown off.
As a matter of fact.
Of course, it's literally one of the best Ghostface albums. It's one of the best Ghostface albums in the past decade. I let Ghostface do what Rakim. By the way, Rakim agreed to do the album with me because he liked the Ghostface album so much. And people act like the album's not the shit. Like, we made it where Ghostface got to shine with his peers, Wu-Tang Clan and otherwise. So Ghostface was thrown off by the question and says to Big Bootleg Kev, are you talking about M80? And Bootleg Kev doesn't say yes. He's like, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Motherfucker, you know me. Yes, M80. You're a professional journalist. Do your research. He knew what he was doing. And I told Kev, this is the funniest part about it. I thanked Kev the next day. I said, yo, you helped me make an extra 25 grand. I want to take you out to dinner or buy you drinks. He didn't respond, but we still talk. I've always wanted to be on Kev's show. I don't think Kev views me as a worthy candidate to be on his show. But the reality is when I'm on people's shows, they do numbers. Like, people tune in to hear rappers talk, but other rappers tune in to hear what they're supposed to be doing with their careers from the advantage point of someone like me. So Ghostface responded the way he did because of how Kev prefaced the question. Now, then Ghostface said, M80 tends to do too much. But again, you got to read the book to understand the bullshit I had to go through. Like I said, they canceled the fucking mastering appointment on me 16 times to approve the master. Ghostface almost told his fan base not to support the record, but had a change of heart. In 2023, we put out a 5-year anniversary edition. I did that, and I don't need Ghostface permission. Remember, I own the masters. I don't owe the guy another cent. I could put out a 5-year, a 6-year, a 10-year, a 12-year. I could do whatever I want. I could put out EPs from the master. So after Kev did that shit, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna like laugh at my album, like I didn't pay Ghostface all this money, like it wasn't a real album. This label hit me up. They're like, do you still own it? And I said, yeah. We did the 5-year anniversary shit because I just got the rights back. I licensed the digital rights to the Lost Tapes to a label and got the rights back. So I had to legally re-release it so I could switch everything to my name and take those SKUs down and put the new SKUs to make the money. So I tell this label, yeah, and they cut me a check for 25 G's. So I thank Kev. I'm like, I would have never got that email had you not make it seem like my shit wasn't the shit. And come on, I'm not pulling anyone's tail here. The Lost Tapes, even though it's the worst name in the history of rap, because Lost Tapes implies it's some lost older product, and really it's a brand new studio album. And I had to like use this Ghostface rhetoric about resurrecting the golden era, Cuban Link, Supreme Clientele sound. That album's better than Ghostface Killers. That album's better than fucking Bad Bad Not Good, Sour Soul. It's better than 36 Seasons. It's better than all them shits.
When we got a couple more questions, because you mentioned Run the Jewels earlier. To see Big Mike, of course, him starting with Outkast, and of course LP from Company Flow, and to see them come together, but obviously they had their ups and downs in the industry, but they become one of the legendary duos. What was that like to see both of them just be, and to see Big Mike end up winning a Grammy? What was that like to see that accomplishment?
I was there. I watched him personally win all the Grammys. I didn't see him get arrested, but I was sitting there in like the 15th row when he got all 3 of them shits. Now, see what the Grammys does for people at home that don't understand this. When you watch the Grammys on TV, it's like 3 hours long. But before the 3-hour telecast, there's another 2 or 3 hours of awards you don't see. And of course, they put all the urban categories for the most part in the shit that's not televised because, you know, they're not trying to promote that element heavy.
Right, of course.
That's when they do like the Latin Grammy and the Grammy for Best Instrumental Album and Best Contemporary Album and Best fucking whatever the fuck. So, yeah, dude, that's fucking humongous, man. And Big Mike deserves that shit. Surely.
Well, Killer Mike.
He
Well, Killer
killed
Mike rather. Killer Mike.
A
Yeah,
lot
of
of his
course.
Killer Mike. Yep. You can I'm sure you
Yeah.
can get away with calling him Big Mike. He's a big guy.
Yeah, Killer Mike, Mike Bigger, all that. Yeah, man. But but to see Killer Mike do what he did, man, and
I am.
and to see, and it just shows that for what Mike had gone through, because he had released so many albums prior to that, but to see that be the opus that gets him the accolades that he has so richly deserved for so long in his history. I mean, as us being children of the culture, we were so happy for him because it shows that you come from it, so you understand where our sentiment is. We see so many of these prepackaged, just convoluted acts come in, but the artists who we really love and respect don't always get that love and reverence. And that's why it was so huge for us to see Killer Mike do what he did to get that
Huge.
recognition.
Huge. Huge. I love Killer Mike. He's been great to me every time I've been in his presence. I felt bad because on the Wu-Tang Clan tour, he saw me wear my jacket, the ones with the multiple colors that you button it together and it makes the W. He's like, man, I want one of those. I'm like, I got you, Mike. Like, he gave me his address, like 3XL. I go online, there's one 3XL left. I'm like, fuck yeah, I buy it for him. And I get the notice that the shop's like, yeah, we had an inventory miscount. Sorry, we're sold out of every colorway. And I told his manager on the last tour date, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep that info from him because, like, I know he's definitely looking forward to it. So I don't want him to blame me. I'd rather him blame you. Like, God damn it, man. Like, but I wanted it. So I never got the chance to tell him, Mike, the jackets are gone. I'm sorry I couldn't come through to you. If I didn't think it was a big thing. But I did that on like a previous Wu-Tang tour I did with Capadon in 2013. I hit Power in the Wu warehouse. I'm like, how many of these varsity jackets we have left? And he sold me like 40 of them at like $100 a pop. And I'd wear one every night on tour. And sure enough, one fan in every city, yo, that jacket's ill, man. Do you have those for sale at merch? I'm like, no, but I could sell you this one right off my body. Yo, I want like $500. Man, I got like $350 on me. And I'd be like, bet, run it. And then I'd just go to car and put on another one. I did that. I literally sold all of them. I did not even keep one for me. That's the fucked up part. I'm like, God damn it.
One thing about it is you understand the tenets of it and you're honorable about it, but we say this in the most honorable sense. You a hustler. And that's how you do. You understand how,
you have people that use that as a derogatory term, and you have people that use that as a term of empathy. I look at it from a term of empathy. You have to hustle to eat. You have to hustle to survive. I have no qualms doing what needs to be done. And I'm doing it from a point of experience. You're not paying money to take a consultation from me just to hear me speak. I'm speaking from a point of knowledge. Like, you shouldn't have paid me for a consultation when I was just breaking bones and fucking, the early 2000s. But 20 some years fucking later, best believe I know what I'm talking about. Like, it's the best $500 you're ever going to spend in your artist career. I will tell you what all needs to be done. Artists think they could just put an album out and they're going to have the world eating out of their hands. I'm like, that's not how you do it. If the fans aren't there, you have to build the base, like Field of Dreams. If you make it, they will come. You have not yet made it. You have not created the foundation to attract the fans to buy shit from you.
And that's something.
Another thing I want to press up too is that since times have changed, these guys got to go out and hit the turf. Like, you got to get on all these shows, not just Breakfast Club or Hot 97. You got to hit all the turf. You got to hit us because we the glue to hold this thing together.
Yep. Another difference when I spoke on, like Chino starting to like subscribe to the West Side Gun program and do more volume. Here's a Crooked Eye example. I booked a tour for Crooked Eye in the Midwest. It was 12 shows in 10 days. We did a feature for an artist in that city every day before the show. And we sold merch, we sold CDs. Crooked Eye made more during that tour for 12 days than he did his next tour, which was support for Ritz, doing 65 shows. The M80 difference is a real motherfucking thing.
We're going to go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and suggest you put that on a t-shirt. The M80, go ahead and put that on a t-shirt.
Real motherfucking thing.
Yeah, go put that on a t-shirt.
Okay. I know the guy that makes them. I call
him. And we know you guys. I mean, this has been incredible. I mean, we
Thank
knew
you.
this was
And
going to be
I'm definitely down for a part 2. It's just my wife wants me to get dinner, then we got to put the baby to bed, and then I got a physical meeting at 9. So, but I'm glad we got this initial one under our belts.
Yes, sir.
M80, you are welcome back anytime. Mr. Markov, you are magnificent. You're a magnificent maven in all things you do. And you are courageous, never craven. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now I'll be hitting you in that DM, T-Max NBA. And I'll definitely I gotta read that. I gotta read the book. I gotta get it.
Listen, I'm telling people like this, and I'm not just saying this as like a tagline. I'm giving you the satisfaction guaranteed. If you buy my book and you don't fuck with it, let me know. I'll take it back. I'll sell it to someone else. I'll give you your money back. It's like that. I believe, not a lot of people read anymore. So it's like, I understand that. But if you do love reading or ever did at some point in your life, this will be the best hip hop related. That is a true story. That is humorous in nature. That will give you gems and jewels and the whole nine that you're going to read all 2025. And the book is 446 pages. So I don't expect everyone to pick it up at one time and finish it in a day. I think it's best you read a chapter or 2 a night. You put it down. You reflect on what you read. You come back the next day. You read a couple more and really span it out over the course of a month and change and be like, grow an appreciation for it. This is essentially like a lifetime of work put into literary form. And I am confident enough in the book and what I think it's going to do sales wise and reach to offer such a guarantee to people.
I mean, we knew this. We knew this shit was going to be gold when you came on, and this is platinum. I mean, I mean, once again, thank you so much. Our love to you and the family. We can't wait for the part 2. Shameless plug again. Anybody from the Woo, any artist on the up and coming. It doesn't have to be any majors. Anybody on the up and coming who is.
I'm gonna start working on some new works with Master Killer on the 17th of October. I did this single on the Balance album with Snoop Dogg and Method Man. That video is amazing. I'm in it. I'm a poker player. I'm a poker dealer in the video, and I'm dancing around and shit. That's another thing. I'll end on this story. So everyone's got their budgets for the video shoot, and Snoop's like, "Yo, you're in charge of catering," and I'm like, "Cool." So on the day of the shoot, he's like, "I got my people here to cook anyway, but what'd you do with that catering budget?" I said, "I got something special for you." And I told Snoop, I got this weed company in Long Beach. No, he's from Long Beach, to come and roll. They brought 4 pounds of weed, and they're going to roll joints for 4 hours. And anytime someone wanted a joint, they just walk up to the table and get a joint. And whatever weed is left over, we got to keep, which was like 2.5 pounds. And Snoop's like, "I might put you in charge of catering from now on." I mean, he's already got his people there making like chicken wings and shrimp and shit. So it's like, yo, and I didn't even know that. I just thought, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice people's food intake for this. This is wow. And literally people are like, bro, this is some of the best weed I've ever smoked. Now it's crazy for me because I haven't smoked weed in like 20 some fucking years. I've smoked weed like 10 times in 25 years. Which is also part of my prison chapter of the book. All my trouble stems from the marijuanas back in the day and the reefers. But yeah, Snoop was very appreciative of that. And people think that's the craziest thing because apparently I always look high, but I'm not. I'm just really sleep deprived and happy-go-lucky with life. So.
Well, also, too, we got to throw an alley-oop to our Uncle Kelvin Anderson out in Long Beach with VIP Records. If y'all, with that project with Master Gibb, if y'all can stop by there, hit them, let them know that y'all want to do a promo run there. Great guy. Got to go out there earlier this summer and meet him face to face. We interviewed him 4 or 5 years ago. Love him dearly. A lot of man with a lot of wisdom, and we were so blessed to have him on the show.
Yeah. And this timing couldn't be perfect because my phone has 2% battery.
Absolutely. Look, E, we're gonna let you get out of here. Mr. Markov, thank you so much. And until next time, be blessed.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you very much.
Appreciate you. Thank you again.
Be up out of here, man. Big shout out to everybody that tuned in. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in with this for these last 2 hours. And we up out of here.
All right then.
Yes, sir.
Peace. Thank you guys.